Hi, I am Kristine McGlinchey-Yap. Thank you for joining the Moments of Clarity conversation series. Today, I am joined by Maria Aleandra, an amazing strategic sorceress and a mindset coach. Thank you so much for being here today,
Oh,
Maria.
thank you so much for inviting me. This is extra special. So yeah, I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So the universe was pulling at me to have Maria in my life because it was two people that we had in common, like not even knowing. So when you first launched Rock Your Life and Rock Your Life Academy, you had like this huge like summit, a virtual series. This must have been like 3 years ago, maybe.
It was actually last year. It seems like 3 years ago. It was last year. It was last February of 2019.
Really? Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah,
Like so.
I know. I know. Same. Same. In a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
It's like so much has happened since then in my life, in the world, in your life. It's like, yeah.
No way. Oh my gosh, that is so funny because I was like,
Yeah.
I really did think it was like so much longer ago. But my friend Rochelle, who's also a featured speaker, who I had the pleasure of speaking with during the series, so she was featured in your summit and in your panel. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I found out about you, and I subscribed, and I tracked your journey, and I joined your Facebook group, and it was just like an amazing evolution. But I didn't join any of your programs yet. I was kind of like sidelines, like just watching, like okay, like this is really interesting stuff. So it's kind of funny how like people like watch like what you're doing and like are so invested in it, but everything is about timing, right? So
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
so the designer of Momtras, the graphic designer of the book, who is at home with her delicious little baby girl, so sweet, she was introduced. So I met her through Las Comadres, which of course Gabby was on the series too. So we talked about Las Comadres and that beautiful community. And Natalie and I met one night and we were just talking about our long-term goals and visions. And she was like, man, like I have this friend. She inspires me so much. She's like a badass life coach. And I was like, wait a second, is her name Maria? And she was like, it is. How did you know? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just felt like it was her. It was the strangest and most like synchronistic thing ever to happen. I was like, I can't
Oh.
believe it. Like, that's so
I
strange.
didn't know that story. That's so, oh my God, that got me all the feels. I didn't know. I knew how you guys had met and you told me about that and she did too, but I didn't know that detail of the story. That's
Yeah, it
really
was
beautiful.
so synchronistic. It was just like, whoa. And she was like, yeah, that's so funny that we had that in common. So at the time, I had just given birth to the baby. Yeah, the baby might have been like 2 or 3 months old. Yeah, she had to be 2 or 3 months old at the time. And I was like, okay, like I have to like get involved in Maria's work and see what she's been doing. So I joined I think months down the line, you introduced the Take a Leap challenge.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did the pop-up group.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you did the Rock Your Life pop-up group, which I did earlier this year. Yeah, which was
Got it. That's
super magical. Mm-hmm.
it. Started with the pop-up group because I specifically remember with the pop-up group, you gave everyone like a complimentary consultation.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And I was just thinking in preparation for like this talk, I remember it so like looking back on it now, I'm kind of like embarrassed, but not really because I'm like, wow, the person I was then, I remember it was February and you
Mm-hmm.
called for our appointment and I was trying to feed the baby. Like I'm like just thinking about it right now is like getting me emotional. I was trying to feed the baby. I had just gotten off a conference call. I was like so frenzied and I was so overwhelmed and you totally could like feel it in my energy and you're like, you know what? Just take a deep breath and just like regroup and let's reschedule this call. She was like, because you have to, you have to like get yourself together. And you told me in like a very like gentle but like tough way, like you need to prioritize time for yourself. Like you can't be feeding the baby and working on growing your business and mindset coaching because you just can't. Like you have to focus all of your attention. And like from that conversation, it clicked. Like I was just trying to do way too much all at one time.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. I remember that vividly as well. And it was a growth point for me too, because in that moment, in a prior version of me, I would have just gone with the flow and I would have thought, well, you know, she's got all this stuff going on. And now as the more I've worked on my own self-development and the more I want to stand for other women to also, like, we're all working through to get through this together. Like, nobody has the magic pill. And yet I knew at that point, I was like, I have a choice here. I could either keep this, just work with what we've got, or I could take a pause. And it was like, I felt like calling you forth, like calling a deeper part of you forth. And it was uncomfortable for me. I remember clicking that Zoom off and I was like, I wonder if she'll ever talk to me again. Because and it was powerful because it was very open energy to, like, you know, reschedule. And I thought that she may not. She may have just been like, okay, well, never mind. And what happened was such a testament to what happens when we stand in our truth and in our power from a loving place, that you booked again. We had a beautiful conversation, and then you stepped up to keep working together with me. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
following the nudges, like that, those intuitive nudges, those moments of like, I have a choice here. I could either go this way or go that way. And who knows, if I had kept the conversation going, we may not be having this conversation now.
right. No, I'm very grateful. Like, you stood in your truth and your boundaries, because you're like, you know, this conversation isn't going to serve me. Like, if you're not being present, like, because basically you would have just been talking to someone. I wouldn't have fully understood like the value, like that
Yeah.
moment of like you establishing the boundaries. Like, look, you're not giving me the respect I need. You're not giving yourself the respect you need. You're not giving the baby the respect that she needs. Like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. That was almost like the permission for me, like, stop trying to do everything. Like, stop trying to do everything. Like, you need a plan. Like, you have to get clear and you have to strategize. And that was the moment for me where I was like, okay, like, I need to do this, because, you know, my husband was working, and at the time he was in hotels, so he'd be at work for like 12 hours. My mom was visiting family in the Philippines, so it was really just me and the baby. And like, my business was like in its infancy, so I was like birthing like two different babies, like trying to figure it out as I went. And I really, like, looking back on like those couple of months to where I am now, it's like I just really needed like these women in my life to like give me that like tough love, like, no girl, like, you have to like assert yourself, you have to have boundaries and strategies in place. And from then on, I was like, okay, like with my current client load, I was like, I'm going to work on this client in the morning, the baby gets all my time at this time, I'm going to work on this in the afternoon. Because like my schedule was basically like, wake up, just try to figure everything out as I went. Like, and when the baby would nap, I was like scrambling, like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Like, what should I do first? It was like very much just like, and then I would get nothing done because I was just worrying about what to get done, that nothing would get done.
Yeah.
So
I know. We've all been there.
yeah. So, you know, it was really uncomfortable, but really like great, like learning experience. And then March, you launched the Take a Leap Challenge. And that's when you really encouraged me to step up. And, you know, so many women in the group and that I see now, like we struggle so much with visibility. Like, had I not even taken that and you had challenged me, like, no, you need to show up, like, just do for 14 days, just film videos of yourself.
I remember that. Yeah. And you were like, okay.
Like, what do you mean just film videos of myself talking? And you're like, yeah, I'll just film live videos of yourself talking about whatever you feel called to talk about. And so I did it. And a lot of this process is like surrendering, right? So, you know, your formula for like the magic, momentum, and mindset, it really, really does apply. Because when we let go and when we trust and when we surrender, and we talk about this a lot, things do start to flow. And, you know, I feel like, you know, in our work together, so Maria and I do one-on-one coaching now. You know, we speak every other week. And there's always something that I'm like, okay, like, here's my trigger this week. And then I kind of like move past that trigger, and then another one shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like going deeper and deeper. And as you say that, you know, for women like us, and you and I talk about this a lot too, it's that surrendering piece, and the trust in our capability and our innate capability, because women like us, we're the driven visionary, you know, we want to, there's so much we want to accomplish, there's so much we want to create. And if you're listening, you know, you're one of us. If something tingles in your body, you're like, yes, 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 that's me. And it's this combination of trusting in our innate capability to show up, because we've been doing that time and time again. If you think about the careers we've had, you think about how we've shown up for our families and our, you know, it's we're always on that cutting edge of what's next. And yet what we get to master, I believe, as we keep expanding our message, and building our influence, our income, our impact on the world, because we have that desire to make the world a better place. Like, no joke, that's part of what we are brought here to do. It's that massive piece of trusting, and trusting is that bridge between what we know, what we have in front of us right now, and what we don't know, and what's unknown, what's out there. And as a visionary soul, we're yearning to create something that doesn't exist. And you're such a beautiful testament to that. And the more you've leaned into, you know, it's like all the puzzle pieces are all around you, right? Like, they're there. Like it's all there. It's just a matter of almost like zooming back and going, okay, and allowing this new flow to emerge. And trust is such a massive part of it, that that's where the magic happens, I think, for many of us. And it's a hard place to stretch into, because it means surrendering. It means, okay, like that, like I am enough, and I got this, and there's nothing to prove. I'm just, this isn't a test, it's a goal. Like, we feel like we're being tested constantly to prove ourselves in front of other people, in front of ourselves. We have these high expectations. And when we dial that back and go, actually, I am just leaning towards my goals, towards what I'm being called to emerge into for myself, for my family, for my community, for the world, then it almost takes the pressure off, like a massive amount of that, like, and you and I have had so many beautiful sessions where you literally, your energy just completely changes. You go from this to like, oh, wow. Oh, it's like you remember. It's just a remembering.
Right.
And it's just, oh, it's delicious.
Yeah. You know, when you mentioned pressure, I mean, a couple sessions ago when we were talking, like maybe 2 months ago, I was telling you, I was like, I just feel like so much pressure, like so much pressure to perform, be a good mother, like have good business, and like show up for my clients. And I think a lot of women can relate. Like, we just feel like pressure, and you're like, okay, well, why do you feel pressure? Like, sit with that, like, you know, see why, like, what does pressure show up for you as? And, you know, you can just really like take a deep dive into pressure, in what ways my like pressure has shown up. Like, why do I feel like I am pressured doing this? And when I unpacked it, I was like, whoa, like, it was just such a false sense. Like, I used pressure as a crutch, you know, and when I really unpacked it, it was just like, if I didn't feel pressure, I wasn't successful. I wasn't working hard enough. Like, if there was no pressure, I used it as like almost like a temperature, like a measurement tool. Like, okay, am I feeling pressure about this? If I'm not feeling pressure, then that means I'm not doing something good enough. And, you know, that just goes back to like society and like patriarchy, and like all the ways that we you know, put all of these like obstacles in our own way. And when I realized, like, wait, like, pressure really doesn't exist. It was just like a false like sense of like comfort, or like a security blanket I was using. And I was like, you know, I could be successful and not have to feel pressure. Like, I think what I really learned through the process of like being an entrepreneur, especially going from like corporate to like free flowing entrepreneur, is that you can work just as hard, you know, and be just as successful. Like, well, actually, you can work less and be just as successful. Like, you can focus on yourself, your growth, and your family. And when you say that out loud, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
You can work less. Like, what do you mean your work day can be 4 hours? and get the same amount done. But it's true, because when you're
Mm-hmm.
super intentional and like hyper focused, and you just allow like the trust and the surrender to happen, like the universe really will, like you'll get stuff done like in that time, and then like you
Yeah.
release it, and you'll be just as successful, like even more successful perhaps, because in corporate we're like all on this like hamster wheel of I'm competing against this person, and it's just so ego driven,
Yes.
so heavy into the masculinity of like doing and being. And you and I have spoke about this recently, and a lot of people feel called to like balance the two energies of femininity and masculinity. And right now, like our collective is going into the more feminine approach to things,
Mm-hmm.
free flowing, and just seeing where that takes us, and like the beautiful paths and opportunities like that presents for us.
Mm.
Like an amazing
Yeah.
shift.
There's so much you've said there. I love that reframe on the relationship we have with pressure. I'm also like on this mission to eradicate this idea of overwhelm, like to reframe overwhelm, to not even use that word anymore. I use other words like I feel oversaturated. I feel, and it's not to say that we can't experience that, because life gets, you know, shabibi sometimes, but this understanding of where it comes from, and especially when we get that, what you said, it's often a measure of our, am I doing enough? If I'm not feeling that pressure, if I'm not feeling that overwhelm, I'm not doing enough. It's become such a barometer that we've been conditioned to respond to. And one of the things that I really focus on working with my clients, and I notice it's a resistance point that's huge. It is for me. It is for all the amazing women I get to work with. It's understanding that when you are working in your zone of genius, things are supposed to feel easy. And
Yeah.
then everybody's like, wait, what? You got like an eye twitch, like, what do you mean? And I'm like, listen, can you acknowledge that you are a hardworking woman? Have you shown yourself that throughout your life? Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, it's time to be in your zone of genius. Okay, what is that? That's that space where you're doing what you're doing and it doesn't feel like work. That thing, that magical, mysterious, like unicorn fairyland where people say, oh, you should work in something that you love. That's being in your zone of genius. It doesn't mean you're not putting in as much intention and effort, and it doesn't mean that you're not really like focusing in on what matters and what you want to build. It's not just like sitting back on the couch and like, here, like I always find that weird about the whole manifesting thing. It's like, for me, manifesting is like meeting the universe halfway. So it's like, okay, universe, I'm going to let you figure this stuff out for me, and I'm also going to be in momentum to figure this stuff out for myself. Then we come together and it's like, oh, and those are the moments, those are the miracle moments of like, how did that just happen? How did I just magically, like, hey, you created it. You actually created it. But it's because you allowed yourself to be in your zone of genius, which also is really tied to our desire. So, what do you desire to create? How do you desire to plan your days? Do you want to work for 4 hours and then do nothing the rest, but engage with your family, do self-care? Like, that is all possible. It's actually possible.
Mhm.
But you got to allow that space to even believe.
Yeah.
And I love what you said too about being surrounded by other women, and guys too. But the sisterhood is so important because we're all working through all this old conditioning of how we're supposed to show up in the world. So when we come together and
Right.
acknowledge each other and witness each other and hold each other high, it's like this, you see the kindred spirits, you see that, like, and so being in spaces where you're surrounded by community and really being held, and really lean into, where can I use support to chart a new course for myself, is so powerful. Because otherwise we're stuck spinning our wheels,
Yep.
and that's it. And the next year you're having the same conversation with yourself and nothing changes.
Right.
So
I think, a huge lesson that I've learned, like not only stepping into motherhood, but like stepping into this more divine space, is before I was like hesitant to like be in community with other women. And, throughout the series, like we have this conversation in different ways, but it's almost as if, we feel like being isolated, or if we are, it's as if we like let other women in, we're going to be like judged or criticized or not supported, because we grow up with this mentality of, well, women just want to compete with us, and no one's going to be happy for me. So when you really do align with communities like Maria's, where other visionary women are just creating, and they just they really want to be happy for you, like, and that's the thing, like feeling that people actually are happy for you, like authentically, like people are supporting you. And and I keep in touch with so many of the women that I've met, and it's just like, it makes me emotional, like seeing what they're building. And it's like, oh my God, like you did it, like you got your website up, and like you're doing the Instagram posts, and just like even exchanging like energy exchanges of like that support and that gratitude for their work. A lot of women, a lot of mothers are like scared of stepping into that zone. Like we feel very protective of like ourselves, and of what like we're birthing and creating. But the main thing is like, there is another way. There's other ways to do things. There's other ways to be in community, and to kind of like release that sense of like judgment. And what I really love, and I've really taken a lot away from like your approach, is shifting the have tos to get tos. That has been like a huge, and whenever we're speaking, you're like, I noticed that you said this. You should consider it. Like the reframing like really helps for me, because I start catching myself, and I'm like, oh no, like I am going back into that mentality. And when we approach life as, oh, I have to get this done, or I have to do this, and it becomes, even the way I'm saying it right now, like, oh, I have to, like, it's like the energy of that is like so heavy. But then when we're like, well, today I get to do this, and it just feels so much lighter, because you're like, yeah, like I get to do these things. Like you don't have to, you have a choice. Like
Always.
Choice.
Yeah. Even when you don't think you have a choice, you always do. And it's the difference between working from it's being in your power versus being in a victim conversation around what's happening around you. So, and like, again, shifting your relationship with circumstances. Like, am I in my power right now? Am I embracing what's happening around me and still making decisions from a place of vision and choice, rather than this is happening to me and this sucks? And it doesn't mean we can't vent. And again, sisterhood is great for venting. And also like, and I'm not about like, oh, you don't worry, it's all going to be fine. No, because it's not having an empowering mindset is not about positive thinking. Like, I'm going to think positive until this goes away.
Yeah.
It's about embracing, acknowledging, not pushing things away, but rather like, okay. And then the reframes, and the reframes are very powerful, because words are powerful.
Yep.
And again, because there's these traits that all of us visionary driven women have, and we're all very different and unique, and yet we have these underlying traits. And one of them is, the we're tapped into this, I don't know, it's like we're tapped into our subconscious at a different level. And so we're really able to recalibrate when we acknowledge that we can recalibrate the way we say things, the way we word things, the way we approach things. A lot can shift really quickly. And it's almost like, are you even open to believing that that can happen that fast, and that you don't have to work at it so much?
Right.
But it's more about being present to it, and more about being consistent with it. I'm all about building that consistency towards something, that equilibrium of, how you show up day in and day out. Because that's, and when you're building something that you want longevity in, whether it's, you're working on your career, or you're an entrepreneur, we want to be in it for the long haul. Like, this is a long game. This isn't okay, this happened. And we tend to go from like goal to goal to goal to goal, like milestone, instead of like flow through it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
No, definitely. Thinking long term. And I think the reframing, the mindset work, all of it like goes so hand in hand. And I feel like a lot of people might not realize, like, who are doing like business. There's so many different ways that sabotage shows up, because I think I've run through a list of them myself. Like, I will be talking to Maria and I'm like, even with writing the book, I was like, yeah, I have to write this book, but I
Yeah.
am feeling so blocked. And you even told me, you're like, you need to reconnect with like why are you writing this book? Because it just became like, no, I know I have to get this done, I have to get this book done. And you're like, but why? Like, why do you have to get it done? Like, what is the purpose?
Yeah.
Like, I was so in the energy of like doing that, I forgot like the reason why I started it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was such a powerful shift within just, I don't know, it was like a month and a half maybe, that you went from like, it was like this energy of, oh, to, it was there. It's just a matter of like, just getting that, and that emerged and other things emerged. And then the whole like rollout and flow of how you would bring this book to life, and your energy was just like on it. I was mesmerized, because, and it's so cool when when you have the opportunity to see the behind the scenes and then how it manifests in the real world.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting the email and seeing the posts and things, and I'm like, it's just, it's amazing, and it's a testament to you and what you're bringing to life. Because a good coach, guide, supporter doesn't, it, it's not like we give you anything. It's just about like sparking what's already there. It's rekindling what's already there and allowing for a different way to look at it, so that you can just rally into the truth. And it no longer became a have to, but a super joyous, like, oh my God, this is really exciting, which it is. Like, it's happening. So
Yeah.
good.
So, everyone listening, you get kind of like a behind the scenes, because Maria and I are very much still like in the process of coaching. And, this is really like a look at behind the scenes of what Maria does and like what she's been helping me through. But, when we were talking about the book and I was like, oh, I have to do this. And then finally I was like, oh yeah, let me connect back with my purpose. And then it was like, okay, Maria was like, all right, well, you have to schedule time every day, because structures still have to happen. We still get to be woo-woo, and we still get that magic and the structures, because we still
Yeah.
sell spreadsheets and
Yeah. Focus is freeing. Focus is freeing.
so, we're just having a brainstorm session. I'm like, okay, I'm back into the book. Like, I'm doing my hour of writing or whatever it was, on the weekends, if I got to write more. So I was getting it done and I knocked it out, got it done. And then I was like, all right, so how are we going to launch this? And then, I was kind of telling Maria, I was like, well, I've been really wanting to share with people, like, kind of like my journey, all the women. And she was like, oh, done. You're launching a summit. I'm like, what? And Maria loves doing things like over the top, and she gets it done. Like, she is not playing around. So she's like, a month long summit, like, and I was like, all right, well, I'm comfortable with 10 days. So, Maria has the big ideas, and then, I was like, all right, well, I'll do 10 days, because it's still
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone, but it's like that compromise, right? Of
Yeah.
what you know
Yeah.
is possible, because that's a great thing about working with a coach too. And I was like one of those women where I was like, I don't know if I'd ever work with a coach, but then I just saw like so much value, because we're so trained to think that we have to do everything alone. Like, no, you need to figure it out. Like, you're a mom, you're a woman, you figure it out by yourself, because
Oh
we
my God.
we feel like maybe we're less than, or we're weak if we have to
Yes.
rely on someone else. But the truth is, like, when we're in support and when we rally one another, like, we can like level up. Like, I mean, within the span of a year, when I started leaning into other women and trusting, like, I
Yeah.
like, and I go through like a lot of healing. Like, I'm working with a lot of women right now in different areas. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not even just like a one size fits all, like one time thing only. Like, even when you see those courses where it's like 10 weeks and you'll have like a full business up and running, and it's a constant like thing. Like, you
Yeah.
constantly have to see like what comes up for you. So, it's definitely not like, okay, like, you're gonna get
Yeah.
like all figured out in one shot. But
Yeah. And does the investment not pay for itself? Like when you invest in yourself, the time, the money, because that's a big one. And I was there. I remember working with coaches myself. I was like, how am I gonna like? And then it's such a big growth moment for us as women to fully invest in what we believe is true,
Right.
and to get the support. And then it just multiplies. It multiplies because you tap into something that's you couldn't have tapped to before. You always have the ability to do it. I really stand by that everybody is fully capable. And yet, how long are you willing to keep waiting for something to pop in your life when it can happen in a whole different like quantum space when you really lean into getting that support? So everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, it's important for other women to hear because, I, during the series, I talk about how, like, I was transitioning from a corporate job into like maternity leave into, okay, now I'm an entrepreneur responsible for like making my own money. Like, how am I paying for all of these coaches? And I'm trying to heal, I'm trying to process, I'm trying to like, build on things.
All the things.
But again, you trust and you surrender. And like at one point, like my income doubled. Like I got 2 clients, like my income doubled. And I was like, oh, like the universe is helping me pay for these things because I need them. Like the universe is like, you need this work and
Yeah.
the world needs your work. So we're gonna
Yeah, exactly. The world needs your work. The universe is saying the world needs your work. So you step in, you lean in, and I will absolutely meet you there.
yeah,
For
and
sure.
it's scary because we're like, I don't really know you that well, universe. I don't know if I can really trust you because
I know.
car payment still needs to get made. But when you finally set that intention and you're like, all right, maybe you know something I don't, that's when it really like when it really shifts.
So good.
And, it can be, and I'm not encouraging anyone to like put their house up for sale and do all that, but um it really does. And most of the coaches, like everyone, like money is not the main thing. Like if you find a coach and they're all about money, well, like, no, you need to pay me this money and like I'm not gonna work on payment plans. Like, and everyone has their own boundary, but like feel it out. Like don't get sucked into a program too where it's like 10-week boot camp and like you pay thousands of dollars and one size fits all. Like that's like a major red flag. Like one size
Yes.
does not fit all.
Yeah, I'm really big on that. And as I've decided the core, and I'm sure a lot of other entrepreneurs, coaches, leaders are watching this, as because I've received that coaching myself of like, this is what it should look like. And I'm like, keep listening to my own intuition and stretching into my space of understanding my worth and the worth of my work, while I also work to be very present. Like I'm all about not one size fits all, like as high touch as it can get, while making it accessible. Because I've bought programs for thousands of dollars that are sitting there that I never finish, that are collecting digital dust, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to just sell something that's going to sit there. I'm here to actually cause a transformation and a shift that's palpable. So I'm really stand by that. And just like all the other women in your series, when we dial into that vision, that purpose, that mission, you will magnetize the clients that are ready to step in and that go far beyond being clients, but actually become collaborators in what we're doing, which is all building a better world together. Like we're literally building this new earth that we get to live in, and our children get to live in. And so there's such beauty in us taking those courageous leaps. I really believe that leaders go first. And so whatever, and everybody's a leader, no matter what your platform is. So dialing into that aspect of you that is calling you forth, like remember, leaders go first. And that could be you modeling what leadership is to your children, and you making decisions that support you and serve you, so that everybody else can rise with you. We hide ourselves too much. We don't tap into what we desire. We live in a world of guilt and taking a back seat and doing everything for everybody else but ourselves. And we don't realize how detrimental that is. And that we're healing a lot of that programming that's come from generations and generations of women who maybe felt like they knew something should have changed, but they weren't maybe equipped or, didn't have the circumstances to do so.
Yeah.
And now we can.
Mm.
We absolutely can.
Yeah.
So
Ugh. Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps because that's exactly it. All of that, that's it. Like that is it.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wake.
I gotta share here because it's like it feels right. Last night I got this vision of just a really like women rising, and it was this, so much of what we know we're dialed into we haven't seen yet.
Mm.
And I got this vision for myself and for other women that which I know is coming, which feels very big, and it's like, how do I even hold that? It's actually the evolution of our divine feminine power. Like I got this really clear vision of just almost like these pivotal women in different parts of the globe kind of like rising up and connecting a conversation, because everything will change from this point forward. Everything, how we see the world is going to shift in the most amazing ways, and we're going through a really painful period to break down what no longer serves us and to emerge what's new. So ladies, whatever is calling you right now is there for a reason. Listen to it. Be held in a space of possibility. Go forth in that what lights you up, and know that it's coming. Like it's coming, and we may not have the words to articulate it just yet, but it's for sure coming.
Yeah, I got full body chills. Like full
Yeah.
body, like my toes. Like that
Yeah.
is beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 And so Maria has generously offered a 30-minute complimentary jump start.
Yeah, it's like a jump spark or a spark call. And yeah, what's really cool about this particular, I love doing these because it's really about looking at whether you want to ignite something that's new or you want to like rekindle something that's been a little bit dormant. So what's that spark that you're ready to bring out? And just a space for you to receive that support and to receive that, like, bounce ideas off, or understand where you're going, how to dial in your focus, and how to build momentum towards what's next. So it's yeah, I'm delighted to be able to offer that. So take advantage.
Please do take advantage because this woman has so much wisdom and just love to share. And I'll be including like all the links in the email to go ahead and book your consultation. And I will be including links to Maria's Facebook groups and her Instagram profile and her website, so you could kind of learn more about her work. And oh my gosh, such amazing energy, and just can't wait until our next call to see what trigger I'll be.
I know.
From the series. So while I was filming the series, all these triggers. No, but it's good. And I just want everyone to know growth is very uncomfortable. It's not all the like,
Yes.
oh, yes, I'm writing a book. Woo! No, it is uncomfortable. And it's like, oh my God, I have to write this book. So this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
From like,
yes,
being in the like mud of it to coming out and like
yeah,
the flower. So
yeah. And I acknowledge you, Kristine, and I celebrate you for peeling back the layers, because part of the magic that you're bringing and the medicine that you're bringing as a catalyst is to show other women precisely that it's messy and it's beautiful and it's powerful and it's hard and it's courageous and it's uncomfortable and all of the things. So it's not just about showing the finished product, but the truth behind what you're moving through, because it's a reflection of what we're all moving through. And I celebrate you for this incredible work of art. Like when you showed me the preview of the cover, I was like, talk about full body chills. I mean,
Maria is the only person, besides a few friends and family, who have seen the cover. We haven't unveiled it. We're not unveiling it until the 21st.
No. I got a super duper sneak peek, and I was like, I mean, because it's powerful. It's not just the thrill of celebrating your work and the fact that it's alive. Like I'm just imagining that moment when I get to hold the book in my hands and just feel into what you've brought. And not only the book is like a vehicle, right? But what it represents, the
Yes.
movement of bringing moms together, the movement of inspiring women, the movement of just everything that you're about, and how you do it with such grace and such joy and such transparency. You know, you're very real. You're like what you see is what you get. And that, I think, is the recipe for a lot of magic and power in the future. And so many ripples,
Yeah.
girl.
Thank you.
It's big. What's starting is like big and beautiful, and it's an honor to be even a tiny spark of it, like a tiny part of it, to help this come out into the world. Because my goodness,
No,
I'll be treasuring this book forever, because it's one of those things that you're like, wow, like I got to be a little part of bringing this thing out into the world. It's just
such a big part of it. Oh my God.
oh my God, like a midwife, like one of your midwives.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it's true. Wow. What
Yeah.
wonderful. And I'm just so grateful, that our paths have crossed at this time, because it's all
Same.
divinely orchestrated, and
Yes.
the work that we get to continue doing together.
Yes. Yes. So whoever is feeling the chills out there as you watch this, just, know that there's something good here for you to tap into, and take that leap into what could this look like, and just gain that, just let it like activate you. Like, I feel like we listen to certain things that just like open up a little like door, a little window of like, oh, and sometimes it's just a tiny crack, but look at the light that's coming through there and see what else can emerge for you.
Yes, exactly what she said.
I love you.
Thank you all for being here today. Don't forget to take advantage of Maria's 30-minute call, and we will see you next series. Thank you so much, Maria.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Bye.